And we're back with another replay. Here we've got d3code, who's going to be playing the 2.5k MMR Broodmother here. He says, you know, he wasn't really able to split push that much because the Bloodseeker and the Storm Spirit on the other team really held him down. But hopefully we'll kind of point out a few things he could have done better, and maybe next time it'll be all right. Web on the rune I'm okay with. A lot of people do this. Some people think it's not worth it. Some people say it is. I think against an alchemist I would go for it, because if he can steal that rune it's pretty huge. Looks like he doesn't get it anyways, but that's no big deal. He'll still have a web by the time he gets in lane anyways. Okay, so I think the first thing about your web placement, especially the first web placement, is that you want to ensure that it's going to serve you for a little bit longer than just the first wave, right? So this web is fairly safe, especially for a dual lane up against a solo lane alchemist. But if we take a look at this web, he probably could have placed it right here, because the next creep wave is probably going to end up being right here. But if he places it here, the very edge of it is still good enough for him to hide on for the first creep wave, and now the second one, which is this creep wave right now, he would have been able to you know, still be in his web for. He's still barely on it, but it would have been a lot safer there. I do like that it's a little bit in the trees here in case he needs an escape from a gank or something like that. But you can put it here and do the same thing. Yeah, get them right there, or even just like over to the right a bit. You can hide in those trees, but it's not bad here. It looks like they're pushing out the wave fairly actively. Brood, I definitely think she's a super strong solo laner. She really likes the levels, so she can try to get more points into spawn spiderlings. You want to really keep them out of the acid, because Alchemist is going to get more per spider than any hero thanks to his passive. But I would like to see the Brood potentially moving her webs over towards the jungle as this goes on. I just think when when there's a Nature's Prophet on the other team jungling, if you've got like say you place your first web here, your second web kind of right here, and then your third web here, you can still pressure around the middle portion of the lane, and then when it's gone you can go into the jungle and you can maybe try and steal a couple creeps. Just make it really hard for this Prophet to jungle, right? So something to keep in mind. I think some early web pressure in the jungle is certainly going to be beneficent for any type of harass, or just getting a little bit further ahead this game. Looks like she's going to place the next web a little bit further down here. Wants to be able to pressure their tower a little bit. Going to be going for a soul ring. Nothing wrong with that. Soul ring, pretty solid item. I don't think you need that much regen when you're a Brood, especially if you look at the lane. Looks like you're probably going to be against a solo lane. You could have been against a dual lane, but even then it's two melee heroes, so you won't get harassed that much. And I think just Tango and your web regen is probably enough, realistically. I'm going to be getting a Basilius here as well. Yeah, that's alright, I guess, if you're going to push a little bit actively. Or if you're going to be building a Vlad's later on. I'm a little bit unsure because I don't play Brood that often. I'd still say the pub build, the better pub build, or the best pub build, I guess you could say, is probably Dagon E-Blade. I think that's the strongest pub build, just because people have problems with ganking properly or target priority, and it'll usually allow you to blow up one hero right off the bat, even though there's an Omni Knight. But I think it's certainly probably a Dagon E-Blade. So we'll see what's going on right now. Not doing too bad. Still just pushing out the creep wave, farming up. And there you go. And it looks like they're going to pressure the tower a little bit. It's going to be hard up against the acid, because you don't want to really feed too many spiders in the acid. You don't want to sit in it too long yourself. So this is where the you're going to be able to get a kill. Maybe? No, probably not. The regen's too strong. You'd really need to blow him up in order to get that kill. But if you think about it, it's going to be hard to push in with the acid, as well as the regen from his ultimate, making it pretty easy for him to continuously use that acid spray. So this is where those webs in the jungle would have been really strong. It looks like they should get this kill, though. Going to get slowed up, and yeah, he's going to go down. So that's a nice kill. Wyvern just barely going to keep herself alive. And the Alchemist, though, still getting a little bit of gold thanks to that acid spray. But if you have webs in the jungle, you can move into the jungle. You don't have to worry too much. And you're effectively taking farm away from them still, right? Like you're taking it away from the Prophet, maybe even away from the Alchemist if he's going to use acid spray in the jungle, stuff like that. So something to keep in mind. I think not enough Brood players utilize the enemy's team jungle. But if you really take a look at a fantastic Brood player, Zai, if you watch him like DAC I know it's a long time ago, maybe a patch or two ago, but if you take a look at that and how he played Broodmother, he utilizes the enemy's jungle a lot. He uses his spiders to scout around a bit so he doesn't get caught out, and he steals their jungle, still pressures the lane. Looks like the Bloodseeker should get the kill, but yeah, still pressures the lane. But also effectively reduces the jungle farm. And when you're up against 4 cores like this, it's very important to reduce their farm in any way possible, right? So if you can take away their jungle, it's going to be really good for your team. Because they're trying to split up so much farm that they're going to have 4 cores that are, you know, pretty underfarmed, right? So just something to keep in mind as well. And we're just going to keep on going here. Going to be cutting the creep wave a little bit. That's nice for sure. Not going to be able to get that kill, unfortunately. Do pop your ulti, not bad. I think it's alright to skip the ult for Broodmother sometimes, especially to get the 4 points into those spawn spiderlings. There's not too many heroes. Like, they're not going to 1v1 you that often here. And there's not too many heroes you can win in a 1v1 with that. Maybe the Bloodseeker, the Prophet probably isn't going to 1v1 you. The Alchemist shouldn't lose. You should have too much regen alongside the Acid Spray, which should be kind of difficult. I don't mind Broodmothers that rotate, but I definitely think they're most effective when they stay in the same lane. Realistically, any hero could have gotten that tower because it was so low. If you're able to get the tier 2, I guess it's not that bad. If you stay mid, you can still reach their jungle, which is important as well. Looks like you go for the kill. There's so many spiders right now, not going to be able to get it, unfortunately. So you can still restrict their jungle from the mid lane. I just think staying in one lane, especially bot lane for yourself, is really important in this game. So harassing out this storm, not doing much. So imagine if you were in the jungle right now, you probably could have been taking some jungle farm instead of just sitting behind that storm. And that's something that'll help you increase your GPM, help you be a better carry, stuff like that. But, you know, treads as well. I'm not sure how comfortable I am with treads. I don't think Broodmother needs the attack speed all that much from treads. The stats are alright depending what you leave them on. The strength could help you survive a gank like once, but I don't think it's that great, especially if you're going for an Orchid, something that's a very time-sensitive item. It really matters when you get the Orchid, right? So delaying it by that 950 or that whatever 1,000 gold for treads is really going to hurt you in the long run. And this is good. Now you're going to move into their jungle here. You're going to start taking some camps in, and this is what you should have been doing from the beginning for sure here. Looks like you're going to be able to get this kill. Nice, nice. Pressuring the lane here. This is not what should happen as a Brood, though. If your team's doing this, just tell them, guys, go in another lane. I can pressure this alone. You guys should be in another lane. You should be fighting this like 4v5. Realistically, you should be split pushing. That's what you want to do as a Brood. So just something you can maybe vocalize to your teammates that they should be in another lane. But you're doing alright. Gonna move back into the jungle. This is great. One thing that you should be doing, A, because you have a soul ring, and B, because a lot of people don't realize this, there's actually 2 types of spiderlings. If we take a look here, I'm gonna pause it real quick, see if I can get them. Probably gonna be okay. There we go. So that's a spiderite. If we take a look at the spiderite, it does 9 damage. If we take a look at the spiderling, it does 8 damage. So a lot of people don't recognize that there is a difference between them. The spiderlings come from the spawn spiderlings. However, the spiderites come from getting a kill with the spiderlings. And they are quite a bit weaker. So sometimes when you see Broodmothers with a ton of spiders and they're not doing a ton of damage, it's because they're not actively using spawn spiderlings, despite having a soul ring as well as their web regen to make up for that lost HP. So you want to be using spawn spiderlings as much as possible. They do about double the damage of a spiderite. Realistically, a spiderite doing 9 damage is essentially nothing because it's going to get reduced by armor. Like, let's take a look at this Nature's Prophet's armor, even though it looks like Brood. But this Nature's Prophet physical damage reduction right now is 25%. So you're doing 25% less of that 9 damage, which is pretty huge, right? But it's only 9 damage. 25% reduction on that is quite considerable. Then you're pinking away at him for like 7 damage or whatever it is, right? So spiderites really don't do much. You want to be using spawn spiderlings as much as possible. Just something for all Broodmothers to keep in mind. There are 2 types of spiderlings, and it's very important to recognize what a majority of your spiderlings are. So continue to go. Spawn spiderlings, fantastic. Got soul rings, spawn spiderlings. Not going to be able to get it. This is really hard. It's really hard to kill somebody like that with so much passive regen. You're going to be able to get that kill there. Nice, nice, nice. You should be careful because the Bloodseeker will come up and it's going to be kind of sketchy here. Going to get another kill, it looks like. And look at that, rotating back to the lane. So that's nice, right? Like, that's kind of what you want have set up. So some webs throughout their jungle that'll allow you to rotate from mid through their jungle to bot lane, so you can help out for a fight like that. You can pressure their jungle and you can still farm mid. So this is good. You're farming mid here. Got a lot of spiders going on, so there's a lot of pressure in this lane. I'd be a little bit careful. Bloodseeker's bot actually, so you're pretty safe here pressuring this out, and this is fantastic. You can see over there the Nature's Prophet's doing Ancients. He's not pressuring your team whatsoever. That is like a classic example of what not to do, especially when your team is fighting the other team. You don't want to be in the jungle, but doing a good job pressuring the tower, TPing out, moving into their jungle. Exactly how you want to be playing. You can come up behind these guys and start to pressure them out. As long as your team's with you. It looks like Decide on the other side, and you're going to be jungling. So this is good. You're reducing their jungle, taking it away from the Alchemist, from whoever may be there. Looks like you might even want to pressure the Ancients, so you're doing that as well. Spotting more Spiderlings. You've got a ton now. I'd be careful. You do get a kill, 2 kills. You do go down. That ends up being a 3 for 2, and you give up a mega kill, which is unfortunate. Again, imagine, well, the anti-mage is split pushing, so it's not that bad. But, you know, if the rest of your team was bot or something like that, and you're the only one that goes down, it's, excuse me, a much better fight. But, you know, that's not much you can do other than maybe vocalize to them. You do get ganked again there. It is important to be careful. When you're that close to a tower, they can easily TP in and just roll up with dust and gank you, right? So when you're that close to a tower, maybe only send your Spiderlings in. You had a considerable amount, so you probably could have just sent only the spiders in and still been able to CS, right? And then maybe jump in and out when you need to do something like spawn Spiderlings. But when you've got that many spiders and you're that close to a tower, I'd say just stick back there and try not to get caught out, because it's very important to not die. Alright, so a rotation top. Again, I think it's best to stay in the same lane. Itemization, heart, definitely not what you want to get. If we take a look at Broodmother's kit, and just the hero itself, she's a hero that excels at split pushing, right? And heart isn't the worst for split pushing. It's alright as a sieging item. If like you're having trouble really putting damage on the base, you just have to plank at it a lot. It's alright to heal up, go in, go back out, heal up, go in, go back out, heal up. But you do have webs for that anyways. So things like Heart, Butterfly, they're not that great on a Broodmother, right? You want to be looking at things like Necrobook. If you're not going to be going the Dagon E-Blade build, you're going to be wanting to grab things like Necrobook, perhaps a Desolator, stuff like that that'll help you push. A Vladimir's, which I know you do have Lifesteal, but it'll help you push, right? So a Vlad's, Deso, something like that. Something, you know, something that'll help you push. So just something to keep in mind. Broodmother's ult used to be a unique attack modifier, I believe in it. It's not anymore, so you don't have to worry about that, you know, stacking UAMs or anything like that. But see the Bloodseeker there, you're scouting out. You should be careful, really careful cutting the creep waves here. Your team's starting to pressure bot. The anti-mage should be in a completely different lane. So again, if you have to vocalize that, certainly do so. I'd be really careful right now. There's 2 heroes dead, and they don't really have to do much else than come for a gank on you. So just be a little bit careful. Doing alright. So you do kind of get caught out there. If we take a look at this fight, it's a little bit weird, right? So you see the Omni Knight far right. It looks like your team's fighting them, and you haven't really checked to see if they're winning or not, right? It might be more effective for you to go help that fight. Aside from picking him off, and it looks like he doesn't get picked off either. And then once your teammate dies there, they're gonna be going like right towards you, right? Like they have nothing else around them. They were just at the secret shop. You're the next logical target, and they are gonna find you that way. So unfortunately, you do go down there. The map awareness, you could certainly work on that, especially as a brood. You should be using your broodlings to scout around the map and get some nice map awareness that way. Heart still not the item. I think Dagon E-Blade, especially like maybe until you get to around the 4.5k level, I still think Dagon E-Blade's the best item. Brood as well as a hero, you never want to chase. You want to try and blow somebody up like as quick as possible. If you can't get it, especially against this lineup where you keep getting caught out, you should probably just leave it at that, right? So something to keep in mind there. I'd be very aware now of sentry placements as well as potentially the enemy team getting a gem. Right now you're not really doing anything, right? You're not really pushing, split pushing, and that's important as a Broodmother. So it's really not helping that you aren't getting anything done right now. You cut the creep wave there. That's not bad. Bloodseeker's nearby though, so you got to be very aware of where you are right now. Looks like you're going into the jungle. Not going to be able to get the courier there. Still around the mid lane. The rest of your team's there as well though, so there's not going to be that too much you can do. You got quite a few spiders. Doing alright, doing alright. Can you get a killing spree there? Orc it up. Going to start pressuring the tower with your team. Not bad, not bad. I'd back up. Try to get the tower. Going to get the tower. That's fantastic. And now if you really don't want to stay in one lane, the one thing you can kind of do, I'm just going to draw on the map here. The one thing you can do is spread your webs around this entire area. So you can pressure each lane all together, right? So if you want to do that, you can do that for sure. It's going to be harder for them to predict where you're going to be, where you're going to pressure. You still need to pressure this top tower anyways. But I think it's a pretty good option to kind of spread around there. It looks like they do pick you off there as well, which is a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, you certainly want to be trying to pressure the same lane until you can get a barracks. Sure, it's great to limit the other outer towers, but the whole point of Brood is that she stays static in one lane. Usually the lane with the opponent's jungle so that she can steal that as well. But she stays static around that lane, and she takes the farm from the jungle. She waits there until she gets a rack. She forces the team to rotate. And you do force them to rotate top, which is great. But they weren't all that far away, so your team's not going to be able to get much on that. Anyways, you're still working on the heart. Probably not going to help you all too much here. You're pressuring mid now. There's a lot of webs just all over the place. Web management is very important as a Broodmother as well. You know, being aware of where your webs are, where they need to be, ones behind you being wasted, especially since it works on a charge-based system. If you run out, you kind of run out, right? Like, that's your cooldown. So there's not much you can do. You're pressuring top tower. Good job. There's a DC. But at this point, the game's getting hard, right? Like, you guys are ahead, or you guys are behind, and they've got probably a stronger late game, in my opinion. Maybe not, actually. It's close. It's fairly even. They have 4 cores. It depends how this Prophet builds, but you know, you've got an Anti-Mage and a Shadow Fiend who are great, but Source, Storm Spirit, and Bloodseeker, and Alchemist, he's been farming fairly well, so he's always going to be an annoyance and all that fun stuff. So you are going to get some kills here. Good job, good job. But you're fighting with the team. You should just be focusing on pushing. Bot lane is pushing out, and when you have a Brood, it should never be like that. Either you should be pushing the lane away, or the rest of your team should. So you never really want a lane that pushed out. No reason that you need to go on that kill. You just want to be farming up. You have a lot of gold sitting around doing nothing right now. And you got to be careful of the unreliable gold, right? Like, if you die right now, you're going to lose a percentage of your unreliable gold. And you have your full heart, and you haven't bought it yet. So you are going to potentially lose a lot. You've got 6.1k. And for a hero like a Broodmother, who's so reliant on being effective around now, maybe earlier than now, around the 30-minute mark, it's very important that you get your items out as soon as you get the gold to do so, because that 6k in net worth is essentially doing nothing for you right now. So you're still pressuring, which is great, but looks like you guys get caught out. And you had like 6.4k there, and you dropped down to about 5.8. So you did lose quite a bit in unreliable gold there, and that's never something you want to happen. Your Shadow Fiend is just going to blink out there. Probably going to get caught out maybe. Yeah, it looks like he's just going to turn around and kill that guy though. So bit of an odd thing happening. Shadow Fiend's going to go down there, and you're up again. You're still working on that heart, but again, heart, probably not the item here. Take a look at that. You die again. And at this point, it's just getting tough, right? Especially for what they have. I would say Lincoln's isn't that bad either. He's probably always going to lead with his ultimate. And that's the only thing that controls you really hard, right? Is the single target, like the pull in from the Storm Spirit, as well as the ult from the Bloodseeker. And with the Lincolns, you can probably dodge both of those and potentially live, run away long enough to survive the gank, stuff like that. I don't think Lincoln's is that bad. Probably like a 3rd or 4th item. after you get something like a Dagon E-Blade or what have you. But yeah, Dagon E-Blade is just so strong, honestly. Like, you just E-Blade, Dagon, spawn Spiderlings, and you've got a lot of damage to blow up, you know, a lot of heroes, really, so. Just something to keep in mind there for sure. Not doing that bad. Pressuring the lane. Be a little bit careful here. Backing up. Good job. Good job. I'd be a little careful. They're all off the map. You see the Bloodseeker now, so it's alright to be a little bit more aggressive. Your team Roches. And they should be going bot right now while you pressure top, because they're going to have to fight one of you. And pulling them from bot to top is exceptionally hard. So imagine as well if you had a Necro Book, right? And having a Necro Book for this fight. And, you know, being able to pressure the racks while they pressure bot. Something like that. Looks like you guys get a lot out of this right now. Looks like you're going to get a racks here. And maybe not. The Alchemist just got a ton of gold there. That was actually ridiculous. They're still chasing you, so you're alright. Be careful. Going to end up going down. Boots of Travel. Probably not the item, honestly. It's going to help you rat a little bit more, but at this point, the game's already tough, right? Looks like they're going to get racks, and at this point, there's not much else you can do. So, I would say just being aware of your peak as a hero, as well as your toolkit, right? You as a hero are meant to split push. Heart, not really a split pushing item. It's more of like a man fight, sieging item, all that fun stuff. You don't really benefit from it that much. So getting a heart certainly didn't help. You kind of weren't sure where you wanted to push. You went from lane to lane. Instead, you should have stayed static bot lane, removed their jungle farm, pressured the lane, pressured the racks. You want to stay in the same lane and pressure the racks consistently. Be vocal to your teammates. They're not going to get mad if you say, hey guys, do you mind pushing another lane? I'm a Broodmother. I should be split pushing, all that fun stuff. Could have utilized their jungle a little bit more. But, you know, you certainly tried. It was a good game. You had some good early laning. Wasn't that bad. Again, earlier, you could have pressured that Nature's Prophet out of the jungle a little bit as well. So that was something to keep in mind, too. Somebody like that. There's a lot of jungle Bloodseekers, jungle Legions, jungle Prophets, jungle Crystal Maidens around your level. A lot of people jungle Ursa, a lot of that stuff. A lot of people do jungle, and when you're a Broodmother like that, putting 1 or 2 webs aggressively in their jungle and leaving 1 in the lane means you can really effectively scare that hero, take him out of the lane, maybe force the supports to drop some sentries in the jungle rather than in lane, so they're spending more money on sentries that aren't going to be that useful. All that fun stuff. So just something to keep in mind. It was a good game. Hopefully I helped you out with your Broodmother in general. This was more of a how to play Broodmother than a how to play in general, I guess. But, you know, at the beginning of the game, if you're unsure of what you should do, you should look. You should say, okay, I'm a Broodmother. What do? I split push. Okay, so what are my items? Necro Book, a Vlad's, potentially an AC, just things that will help you push. Drums, stuff like that. Stuff that will help you push out the lane. Simple items. You don't have to go looking up for these big bang. You know, I need Heart, I need Butterfly, I need whatever, Abyssal Blade or something. You know, you don't have to look for these big ticket items. Just look for items that make you useful as a hero. In this case, your hero is a mid-game kind of split pushing hero. You're effective around the 30-minute mark. You know, maybe a little bit above that, maybe up to the 40-minute mark. After that, you start falling off. Heroes get Boots of Travel. It's easier for them to push out waves, all that fun stuff. So hopefully this did help you. You did play well, and good luck going forward. I'm sure you're going to be a better player after this, and I truly hope that I did help. So thanks again for submitting the replay, and keep an eye out for my other stuff. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to check out some of my other videos. I have my series From Lane to Lane where I just cast some everyday pubs that you guys send me. I also do some more professional pubs like games from Koikva, Miracle, whoever I can get my hands on from Dodobuff. I have a learning series as well, so feel free to check that out. There's some more info in the description as well as some videos linked in the annotations at the end here. Thanks a lot.